Oh, you want your podcast? Shit, it's yours. Take it. Just remember who got it back for you. Guys, it's okay. He just wanted his podcast back. Welcome to Additional Crew, the spoiler heavy review show where we choose whatever random film we want to talk about. Of course, it being October, we've chosen some very, very cliche horror movie. This episode, we bring you Jason Voorhees is cryogenically frozen at the beginning of the 21st century and is discovered in the 25th century and taken to space. He gets thawed and begins stalking and killing the crew of the spaceship that's transporting him. I am, of course, talking about James Isaac's Jason X, or Jason 10. Fun fact, the X does stand for 10, and it's not a play on SpaceX, which didn't exist at that time. The final number sequence in one of the most storied slasher franchises around. Before we jump into all that, and we will very momentarily, but let me first introduce your co-host. I'm Nick. I've been here with y'all, and with me is Peter. You may remember Peter from the Terminator podcast, but welcome back, Peter. How's it going, man?
It's good. Thanks for having me, Nick. Excited to do this movie. A lot different than the Terminator, obviously, but kind of along the same lines of a slasher type movie where you have one badass dude killing people. Uh, and actually, I mean, Jason and Michael Myers, maybe Freddy Krueger, uh, they all have that Terminator quality where it's like they get shot a bunch of times and they just keep going. So, there's a connection there
You
somehow.
know, where Terminator decides that they're going to explain it and give us a backstory and really cool world building. With Jason X, they kind of do this hand wavy. He can regenerate thing. So pretty similar, but also we get to see what makes a good movie and what makes a bad movie sometimes when we do these things. Which I'm
That's
not
true.
putting the cart before the horse here, guys. We didn't say it's a bad movie
Not
yet.
yet.
um, but yeah, so I have to say, just as a side note, and this is an offside, just because it happened today. I don't know what's going on, but I watched the Neverending Story today, and it was I watched it with my kids, and I got emotional during this movie. And this has never happened to me before, but there was
Huh.
something about like the unlimited power of imagination and belief that you can change something with the world of Fantasia that just got me today. So if I seem a little off, that's because I'm feeling the good vibes of Imagination Land.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. Very
um,
nice.
I had to share that because I've watched Neverending Story a few times with the kids. And it hasn't hit me like that until this time where I was just like, it's anything's possible.
I try to get my kids to, Hendrik to watch anything, and he wants to watch the same stuff over and over, and he never wants to watch anything new. So he's never seen that movie. He's never seen a million movies. He watches Toy Story, Cars, and Wall-E, and a few others, and that's it. And I don't know how I got him to watch those.
That's fair. It's just like pure luck, right?
I know one day, I mean, it's like I put it on, or I don't even know how we got there, that many. So.
It was I remember with Dino that like getting him to watch movies like that because I've got him to do the Neverending Story and Return to Oz or two that he really likes that are kind of like out there 80s movies. And the only way I got him really to do it was just like I caught him when he was in a mood for something scary, but he doesn't like you can't show him real scary movies. They're still kids. He's 5 years old.
Yeah, I've never have yet.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, well, I'm going to show you something that has like scary moments, but is still ultimately fantastical. And I couldn't think of anything that fits that tone better than Never Ending Story, you know.
Hmm.
Um, and also, just you turn on a movie and then you lose the remote. What are you gonna do? Oh no,
Yeah. Whoops. It's
where'd
just
it
playing.
go?
Yeah. That reminds me of I was explaining to Hendrik the other day. I was telling him when I was a kid there wasn't a choice. There was the TV,
Mhm.
and it had a few channels, and that
Mhm.
was what was playing. If there you didn't have like streaming this and like choose any movie you want type of thing. So it's like that's
Mhm.
what's on, and that's what I watched.
100%. It was like if you wanted choice, you had to like talk your parents into going to the movie
You have
store or
to
renting something.
buy or rent something, and
Mhm.
even then it's just like one movie once in a while, or you slowly build a collection up, and then you just have those movies and not just the endless movies at your fingertips like you have
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
So it's like
Yeah.
almost too much choice. Too much choice is then you're frozen with choice.
Yeah, exactly. And then you just go back to what you've seen before. You're like, I can see
That's
anything I want. I,
probably has
I,
something to
I,
do
I've,
with it.
so we'll get into the movie in a moment for people who are listening. But I will say this: I recently got a TV for Dino's room, and I was like really worried about this right when I was thinking about it. But he has a little brother, and I was like, I need them to have spaces where they can be separate from each other. So this wasn't him being separate from us. This was him being able to separate from his brother a little bit. And I decided I was like, here, I'm gonna do this. I actually did it. I got him a VCR, and I'm buying him just VHS tapes that I know the movies for, and so he can go
Nice.
in there and he can watch these movies. And at least that way, I already got control over the content because
It's
you
not
don't have
connected.
access to anything else. Yeah.
Yeah. VHS, man, I need one of those. Where'd you find it?
Goodwill, Goodwill. But hey,
Nice.
Peter, real talk. If you want one, I got an extra one. I've got three
Oh,
of them. So
I
this.
actually, so I've been looking for one, not seriously, but
Mm-hmm.
um, a lot of my wife's like home videos from when she was a kid are on VHS. Her
Mm-hmm.
dad like had a VHS camera,
Mm-hmm.
so I someday I want to transfer those to digital, so I need a VHS player and I don't have one. So yes, I totally
I
interested.
okay. I'll put it to the side because like I got a nicer one recently. And I'm not saying I'm giving you the leftovers, but it works
I
just
mean,
fine.
if it works, like there's not much to a VHS player as long as yeah, it doesn't eat up the tape, I guess. Like I don't
Exactly. It has been
know.
tested. So okay, all right, Peter, I got you. I got you. Um, so that
Nice.
was a quick shout out to the year 2002, which is the year that this movie came out. Unless you look at other places, it apparently released in a lot of different countries first in 2001.
Yeah,
So you can
Spain,
see,
I saw. Yeah,
yeah, and
I graduated high school 2002, so I
oh,
was a senior in high school when this came out.
did okay. I'll have some questions about that in a little bit then,
Okay.
because I have some questions about the fashion that these people are wearing, and if they're really trying to be the future, if they're really trying to go to like rave culture.
I think the latter. Heavily influenced by, yeah, that time period.
Uh, Guy with the
That's
green
funny.
highlighter shirt and the fishnet over to the top. Okay, so you know
Yeah.
what? Let's just jump into the movie.
Yeah.
So
Let's go.
Jason X. Once again, we talk about it. It's a Friday the 13th movie. It doesn't have Friday the 13th in the title, which is okay. It doesn't really need it because it has nothing to do with Camp Crystal Lake besides that Jason is now here. Um, the whole premise is really easily wrapped up in the idea that Jason gets cryogenically frozen. They find him well into the future. I believe the year's 2455, which for just a second, I'm going to segue. They did their math wrong every time they talked about this because they said the year was 2010 and then they said it had been 155 years. I did the math. That's 2465, not 2455.
Oh, huh. Maybe they're
Just
thinking of when they made the movie. No, I don't.
it
Yeah. It was
didn't make sense.
2010.
Yeah, they were very specific about it. That's the only reason why I care. They're
Yeah,
like, it's been
that's
155
funny. I
years.
did not notice that. Yeah.
Um, but so he gets cryogenically frozen, and because of his regenerative powers or whatever, who knows? Like they've hand waved that explanation as we said earlier. He is able to just unfreeze and come back, and he's Jason. He doesn't have means method. He doesn't even have like the Michael Myers obsession thing going on. He just kills because they're around him, and he takes out the spaceship. And that's the movie that you've got. There's not a lot deeper going on here than that. There's a lot of fun things going on, and we'll talk about that. But this is one of those rare movies where the story is so useless to the actual vehicle of this plot. It just takes you from point A to point B of how do we wrap this thing up in a way that we can kickstart it believably, and
Hmm.
then we'll just let it do its own thing from there. So, um, slasher movies and stories are, like you're lucky if you get one that has a good story. Like we talked about Terminator earlier, and I think Terminator is a phenomenal movie because it actually ended up it managed to be a slasher movie that had a story in a world that mattered.
Yeah, much
Most are
more
like this.
complex.
Yeah, most are like this, where they're just like, yeah, well, we need him to be in space. So how do we get him into space? Perfect. Now he's gonna kill people in space.
Yeah, it's just like a backdrop. It's like the backdrop is space now. And
Yeah,
the
exactly.
last one was hell or something before this, or New York's Manhattan. Jason Goes to Manhattan. Like, I haven't seen all these movies, but there's just a different backdrop, I guess. You know.
Well, so one thing I'm gonna go ahead and give this movie praise for is Jason Takes Manhattan is takes place almost entirely on a boat on the way to Manhattan.
Have you seen? You've seen it?
Yeah, and that's a cop out. That's a cop out. Like it's a bad movie because he's only in Manhattan for like 3 minutes in the whole entire movie.
Oh, let down.
I hate it. Jason Goes to Hell is a movie where he goes to hell, and then the whole entire time you see his soul bouncing from body to body in the real world. So you don't see hell that much either.
Yeah,
It's another cop out. One thing I'm going to give Jason X credit for, and I'm going to just get it off the bat, is they actually went to space. They didn't just like it wasn't just like the whole first half of the movie is him getting frozen and then they went to space for a minute. He was in space pretty much the whole time.
yeah.
So
Speaking of that, I actually like the scenes on Earth better than the once he gets to space. The movie started out really. The movie started out good. I love um the intro, the graphics, like where it looks like it is in hell for some reason. Maybe he's coming. Maybe this is a dream he's having. I have no idea. But then they're like pulling like injections out of him, and um like it looks like he's getting operated on by doctors, kind of. And then he wakes up, or the scene starts where he's in that facility, the Crystal Lake facility, and he's just chained up, and it looks like he's pretty defeated. And then we get into him getting frozen cryogenically. Um, I was at this point, I was like, "What? This is pretty good. Like so
mm-hmm,
far,
mm-hmm.
this is not bad." Then the people walk down the stairs, like from the future. Once he gets frozen and everything, the people walking down the stairs with these weird futuristic outfits. I thought those were cool outfits too,
Yep.
and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of creative here." And I love the
Mm-hmm.
scene where they're walking down the stairs, all in a line kind of thing. And I thought that was pretty artsy type scene there. And then once they take off their masks and start talking, then we're starting to like go downhill. And then then when they take them to space, then it's like cheesy. Like I describe this as like a cheesy gore softcore porn like production. Like it's like the it's almost like a softcore porn like production quality to this movie, especially once they're in space. Um, with the acting and the lighting. But we'll get into those details. That's
Yeah,
just the first
there's another.
impression.
I have another very specific part of this movie that I will I'm gonna rail on for the same reason, but it's not even one that you mentioned here, so that means we're batting pretty low average
Yeah.
here.
So it starts out. I was like, this is good so far, and then it went downhill pretty much
So one thing like
for me.
so and that's fair because I think for me like the first snafu from the writing point was when the guy got his arm cut off and then given the drug and then like was completely just nonsensical. It was like, my hand says hello.
Yeah, yeah,
Because Jason getting a limb chop by falling over while he's frozen was pretty like that was a little tongue in cheek. I was okay with that, but then following it up with him getting the drug and then being all high and like too
yeah.
goofy with it was like,
It
okay,
was
you're
kind of
setting a weird tone.
horrifying. Yeah, it was kind of horrifying at first, but then later on in the movie, you realize that it seems like this type of thing happens a lot, and they have the technology that it's not a big deal like it is today to like lose a
Mm-hmm.
limb or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that maybe that's part of his attitude there. Like in the future, oh, you can just get it repaired, and it's not a
As
big
long as you're
deal.
not killed.
Yeah.
The one thing I did so you see immediately that they bring in David Cronenberg, right? So he's Dr. Wimmer.
Hmm.
And every time I've seen David Cronenberg show up in a movie or film or a series, it's he's either gonna die or be the killer. So, but also he being the director that he is and all of the crazy special effects movies that he has, always makes sure that he dies in a way that gets to show off the special effects. And he got stabbed through the gut with the spear directly towards the
Yes.
camera with the light on it. And I got excited because I was like, "Oh, cool! This movie's gonna be like, let's show off special effects. Even if it's like
Uh,
terrible, we're gonna have some great special effects." And I would
yeah.
say sometimes, other times they got really lazy. Um, which lazy could be a description of half of this plot because it feels like to me they took tropes. They
Hmm.
had the slasher trope, which okay, that's fine. It's a Jason movie. You got to just throw that out the window. They're going to do that. But then you also have the space tropes, where it's like they didn't come up with anything new for space. They're like, hey, okay, so you've got these like scientists or whatever, like teenagers that are just making out and having sex for no reason on a spaceship. And then you've got your Marines that are just basically the crazy group from Aliens, except for they all kind of suck at their job. And that's what space is. And then you've got the two dudes in the cockpit, which I don't know. Have you watched Doctor Strangelove?
Yes, a long time ago. Yeah.
Okay, to me they made the cockpit look like Doctor Strangelove, and this is like a terrible place for
Yeah,
Stanley Kubrick homage.
that's
Because
true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And and yeah, the thing you were saying about just how simple it is. I mean, this it's I guess it's written by Todd Farmer, and I was reading that he he along with Cunningham or whoever produced it, maybe it was Isaac who directed it. One of those guys, they were talking about a new venue for Jason, so Todd came up with the space idea, and he it said it was heavily influenced by movies like Aliens, like you just mentioned.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And so I thought of Aliens a little bit, and a lot of space movies are like this because you are confined to a spaceship, so there is that kind of constriction. You are in a spaceship, so you can't just go outside. There's not like so much scenery. There's not nature. You're just kind of locked in a room. Um, so they are all are going to be sort of similar, but if you compare this movie to Aliens, Aliens is way
mm-hmm.
cooler, better,
more
way
more
better of a movie.
complex.
So much better.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're talking about a space like thriller movie.
Well, and it's funny to me because it's like so they take the tropes from it, but they do try to fit the tropes into the slasher genre, right? Because you even have like let's take I'm trying to remember her name in this movie, but the AI KM.
KM-14 or
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
pretty sure.
take her role where you had androids and aliens, right? Now you're given this like android AI mixture,
Star
but
Trek.
she's like a computer of some sort, but she is
Yeah.
still given the ability to have sex because this is a Jason movie. So,
I guess that I mean ever since the first one, that's like an element of like just killing like teenagers, horny teenagers or something. Like that's like just what makes a Friday the 13th movie, I guess.
mm-hmm. Which
So
I hadn't considered how they were gonna move that over to space. Then I watched this and I was like, okay, I guess this does make more sense than I'm giving it credit for. Because this is what they do. Jason movies are like kill the people who are having sex.
yeah, the young
They even
kids.
call it out during the Camp Crystal Lake scene when they're like, "Yeah, we like drugs, we like sex, we like." I forget what else. Then he does the reenactment of the sleeping bag scene.
Oh my, I, s- I was. That's actually one of my favorite kills. Is that one? Well, we can
They
get
don't
to
look.
that. Yeah.
It's crazy. They have like 30 years, right, since the first one. At this point, maybe it's 20 years. I'm doing it wrong. And they
Yeah,
can't
I think
recreate the sleeping bag
1980.
scene
Yeah,
nearly as well as they did it the first time. Like you're a special effects artist. Come on, guys, make the sleeping bag scene look better. You have the
yeah,
technology.
yeah.
Um,
2002, I guess. I don't know.
there was a lot of little things that I thought I did think that they tried a couple interesting things, but they abandoned them as soon as they didn't realize how to you like effectively use it. Like the Jason turning into Uber Jason because of the nanobots that like brought him back. That reminded me of like Event Horizon. Like I don't know if you've seen that one, but when Sam Neill goes
Yeah.
through the weird hell black hole and then he comes out the other side all Lovecraft
Yes.
monstery, that kind of reminded me of that. But they
I
didn't use
love
that.
that movie. Yeah,
Much better
that's a
space
good one.
movie. If anyone
Wait,
wants to watch a better space
Event
movie.
Horizon, and if Halloween's coming up, it's definitely a scary movie. Like watch that in the dark. Like
hmm hmm
it's it's disturbing, a disturbing movie, and you don't expect it because it is a space movie, and that's one of the most disturbing space movies I can think of, really.
You
Um,
know that like with that movie they lost like 20 minutes worth of footage and it's just completely gone because it like burned in one of the warehouse fires. And apparently it
and
was all
that's
the stuff that was cut to make the movie an R rating instead of an NC-17.
wow,
So like the hell sequence, or not the hell, but the black hole sequence where he sees all the crazy stuff was supposed to be so much more intense than it ended up being. And then
my
they just
gosh,
lost the footage. I know.
burned. It got taken back to hell.
I've heard it's that movie and then Jacob's Ladder where they lost some footage from both, and it was both kind of similar settings. Where it was like,
Yeah,
dude, the
that
footage
movie is
is
disturbing
insane.
too. Yeah,
hmm
that's a good one too. Um, but yeah, the Uber Jason, as they called it, internally, apparently Uber Jason,
Yeah,
he did he it also, speaking of Terminator, it like he turns into kind of like a cyborg, half cyborg monster, and so it had that kind of element to it as well, like that Terminator element to it.
yeah, and I kind of kept going back and forth on this one on Uber Jason's design as I was watching this movie. I was like, on one hand, it looks kind of awful, but on the other hand, it does kind of look cool. And I'm like, it's a product of its time for sure. Because I think about 2002 and like Edge Lord at that time. If you were into like new metal or whatever, like Slipknot, something like that, this was a
Yeah.
great design.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
If you look at it through the lens of like modernity and maybe like things that are meant to be more serious, it looks a little cheap.
It does.
Uh,
I
but I
don't
kind of like what they're
see.
going
I don't
for.
know if the yeah. I don't know, like, if this movie is meant to be serious, or it's hard to tell.
It
Uh,
is.
I mean, it to me it doesn't seem so serious. It seems like they were having fun, like a little bit, making it. I mean, unless they're just really bad at make trying to make a serious movie, I don't really think it was even meant to be that serious.
Yeah, I would say
It's-
the inclusion of the character Azrael, so he was like the space stoner.
yeah,
I
that's
think
that
that to
lost the
me,
arm. Yeah,
yeah, that to me was all I needed to know that they weren't being super serious in this movie.
that's
Um,
true.
Also, like, who
Yeah,
are the? the guy with the green shirt and the fishnet who died pretty early, and his
I don't even
girlfriend, right?
know their
Like,
names. Yeah,
what are these people doing on a spaceship? Like, do they you think they had a job, or were they just there because they were teenagers who could have
student weren't
sex?
they
Like,
students?
were
Like
they
they're
students?
students. Yeah,
You're right. You're exactly right. Thank you. You're exactly right.
they're like that's
100%.
why that makes it make sense. They're just like on a class like field trip to Earth, the original Earth, which is a wasteland, and um, and the teacher is whatever his name is. Uh, what's his name in the movie? I don't even.
Professor Lowe.
Professor Lowe, yeah, and he's taking this group of students, I guess college age students, so that kind of explains their behavior.
It's so simple now that you say it, and they mention this multiple times in the movie. I even have the credits written down where he's like, they just need credits, and I don't connect that at all. So that actually, to me, that makes a lot of the characters make a lot more sense all of a sudden, very quickly. Um,
Yeah.
because I was watching those two, and I'm like, why would they be on a spaceship? What are they doing? Like
Yeah, they're just goofing off.
yeah, King, I can't remember her name. Kinsa, there it is. Well, Kinsa, when she's like panicking on the escape pod, I'm like, this she can't be a real worker on a spaceship because she's can't like
Yeah.
for a second breathe. And
Yeah.
I guess she
Yeah.
wasn't. She was a student. That makes it make so much more sense.
Yeah. Inexperienced.
So the story in this film, I would almost go ahead and say it doesn't really matter. It was to get to point A to point B. There was a couple like larger points that they just so okay. I'm going to talk about the Solaris, the station that they blew up for a second.
Yeah.
This was that the way they acted. It made it seem like Solaris was the hub of humanity. Like that might be like the last bastion of humanity in space, and they blew it up because the Lou got killed in the cockpit, and they didn't know that, so they just ran into it. One thing I'm gonna say just now because I have to get this off my chest: if you make a space station and you put a cool decorative feature on the outside that's made of glass, you're begging for it to get destroyed.
Hmm.
You're asking for it to get destroyed. Like, how could you have not envisioned that something would eventually hit a space station?
Yeah, what struck me about that scene as well, just as far as the cinematography and everything, because you're bringing it up, is how small that space station looked compared to the ship. Like the perspective, I
Mm-hmm.
if it if this place was supposed to have apparently 20,000 people, according to things I've read, or I think they might have mentioned it in the movie, um,
Mm-hmm.
it, it would seem that it should be much larger looking, but it just the models or whatever effects they were using, it made the ship almost looked as big as this huge space station, the ship that they
Yeah,
were on, the
yeah, yeah.
Grendel, and that stood out to me as just like really crappy space effects.
It was something that I think they were like trying to make it look cool as opposed to actually trying to make it make sense, which
Yeah, it
would
didn't make
explain
much
a lot
sense.
of the things in this film that don't work.
Yeah,
Um,
character development. If we're going to talk about that, I mean, there's not much character development. When I'm comparing this to like Terminator, you have a lot of character development of Reese and Sarah Connor in a movie like that, where there's lots of dialogue describing kind of these people's life story. This movie is obviously not set up to do that. It's just expendable characters, so
mhm.
who cares? They're just gonna get killed. And Jason, we don't learn much about Jason. I think we learn a lot more about Jason from other Friday the 13th movies.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think we learn anything about his past or anything in this movie. He just he's just here, and then he turns into Uber Jason toward the end.
Yeah, and I would say so. Like, let's if you put this up against other slashers, because I would say the main character in this film's got to be Rowan, right? So she's the lady from the past who goes into the future.
Yeah.
and she
Yeah.
survives to the end. And like, if you look at her character, you can't really tell if there's a lot of character development because you don't understand who she is in the beginning. She's a badass in the beginning for sure because she takes the shotgun and gets Jason in the cryogenic chamber. Like, she is a badass, but she gets stabbed through a steel door. Which Jason, how I can understand that this is showing how strong he is, but how can you make the machete go through steel? I
I
just, the
don't know.
physics don't make
Yeah.
sense to me.
No, a
But
lot of that about this movie, like if you're looking at, I mean, it's not meant to be real, obviously, but some of it's just it defies physics. Like it
the
goes beyond the laws of physics. Like to,
yeah
yeah,
yeah the word I would the word I want to use is lazy. It's just lazy. They couldn't figure out how to make it work. So they're like, just stab her through it. It's fine.
yeah. It's like yeah, exactly. That is true.
Yeah,
Lazy.
yeah.
Just, I mean, it doesn't. It's not even though it's in space and it it's not scientific or
Mhm.
it's not bound to the laws of physics as we know them. Um, Even if it's in the future, I mean, yeah, a machete that wasn't even in the future. That was in 2010 when he stabbed the machete through the.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, unreal. And then, I mean, talking about that, like, I guess this is a feature of Jason and Michael Myers, but just getting shot like so many times, and they're just still alive. I don't know how that works. I guess that's just how these movies are. It's kind
The,
of like an invincible superhero, not hero, but invincible super monster.
to me, this is part of them having to like one up the last movie over and over and over again, and then you get to the 10th installment, and like literally bolts don't even mean anything anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, because if you like look at the first Michael Myers movie, he wasn't really Halloween. That is, he wasn't really
yeah.
shot in that movie until what, the end.
Yeah, yeah, the end, and then he just, I mean, he falls out the window and then disappears like no one,
Hmm.
you know. Yeah, and he disappears. It's not like he just keeps coming and like just bullets don't do anything to him. He just, you don't know what happens to him.
I think like that whole like one upping of the last movie really has it just changed things because I know John Carpenter wanted to end the Halloween series after Halloween 2. He like blew up the hospital with Michael Myers in it because he's like, there's no way anyone could ever survive that. So Michael Myers certainly didn't. And then of course the producers were like, yeah, he did because we need him to make more money.
Yeah,
Uh, so, but okay, so I'm gonna character development. I'll go back to it real quick. So Rowan in this movie is definitely the main character. She's the final girl. She's the one who survives. Think about her character development up to someone like Laurie Strode from Halloween. Who we see go from like schoolgirl to like smarter, more tough lady over time, right?
yeah,
Or Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street, where she's the final girl and she sees her friends all die and she like learns how to fight against this thing.
yeah,
Meanwhile, in this film, we've got Rowan who just she fights against it with a shotgun at the beginning, and at the very end, she's just doing kind of the same thing she just did. It's just in space now, 400 years later.
yeah.
Um,
And she doesn't provide a ton of insight to the future characters,
hmm
like as
hmm
far as how to kill Jason or deal with Jason. She just kind of says, kind of reinforces the fact like this guy's dangerous. That's
hmm
pretty much all
hmm
she conveys to the crew on the spaceship, and she doesn't really add much to kind of help the situation.
No,
So
no,
yeah, she's
no.
kind of just a victim as well. Not really a hero or anything in the movie. So I don't think there's who is the hero in the movie. I guess it's that guy. That
Is it
what's his
Brodsky?
name? Yeah, Brodsky. That he he like flies out of the ship with him in a spacesuit and like grabs him and like dives into the atmosphere of Earth too. And that guy could be the hero of this movie. So
Yeah, cool. The two people in classical storytelling, from my understanding, is that you would have the hero or the protagonist. The chief one is whoever changes the most in a story, like whoever has the most character development. And if that's really what you would describe it as in any of these movies, who changes the most? It's got to be Brodsky, and it's got
Jason.
to be Jason and KM,
Yeah,
which the KM changes. Like we can laugh at those; they do happen, and it doesn't really make sense. Like when one of my favorite things was when whoever her boyfriend it was Sunarin or whatever they called him.
yeah, Sunarin.
When he's like he kissed her and she's like, I just got an upload. I was like, or no, they made out, it went to the next scene, and then they show up and she's completely like wearing different stuff and like all badass now, and he's like, I gave her an upload. That was what it was. um it was like it's like, is that how this
uh,
works? Did you design your robot to work this way? Because if so,
yeah,
oh boy, the future's got some
computer
interesting
love.
things.
Computer love.
So yeah, there's really like almost not a protagonist that I think is worthy of being called a protagonist. It has to be Jason, and
It's
not that
Jason.
we're yeah, and it's not that you root for Jason. It's just that he's the only one who has any interesting things at all.
You know what? By this point in the franchise, I think you are rooting for Jason.
Maybe,
I,
maybe.
I, it may be in the first movie, like in the first Halloween movie, you're rooting for what's her face's character?
Lori,
God, yeah, Lori, who's the actress that
Jamie Lee
play
Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis. You're rooting for her, and and then in the first Friday the 13th, it's like it does. Jason's not even in that one. I think he shows up in number two, right? And
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
those movies, it's like you're probably rooting for the campers at Crystal Lake, and you're just like horrified by them getting killed. But by this point in the franchise, you're waiting to see Jason like kill people in brutal ways. Like you are on
Mm-hmm.
almost on Jason's side, and these people are just like cannon fodder or machete fodder.
Which I think this is a good place to segue. We'll move on to our next spot because we will talk more about the special effects and like the kills a little bit later during their cinematography creativity little portion. Let's talk
Yeah,
about the acting. Even though there's not a great, this isn't a movie that's an acting showcase. So Kane Hodder returns as Jason. He was Jason, I think 5 times, including this. It might have been 4 times.
yeah,
Uh,
I think so.
yeah, Kane Hodder is a pretty, I want to go ahead and say, legendary figure amongst the horror fans because he plays a lot of really bad guys in a lot of bad movies. And I would say Kane Hodder's a big dude who knows how to be physically imposing. So if I'm going to give any acting credit, the first acting I'm going to give credit for is that this guy plays Jason very well. He plays him as a guy who is gigantic and doesn't care and is almost just he's just almost nonchalant in how imposing he is.
Yeah, and one thing I notice about Kane is his head shape. He has a very like round, big head, and
Mm-hmm.
so you can see that like even through the mask, and his he has these kind of big eyes, like kind of
Yeah.
blank eyes, and so yeah, you're right. His size, he's a big dude, so he does make the perfect type of Jason, I would think. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and
So,
yeah,
and it's hard to say that he does really like he doesn't act emotionally or verbally at all. This is all physical acting from him. So
yeah,
it is important in these slasher movies to be good at physical acting,
yeah,
but it's just a different sort. Now,
yeah.
anyone else in this movie? Did you? I'm gonna just ask this question point blank. Did you have any other performance in this movie that you thought was more worthwhile than just a vessel to get killed?
Oh, I mean, the actually KM14, that
Mm-hmm.
actress Lisa Ryder, she did a pretty good job at making an android type person, so
Yeah.
I'll probably give it to her. And also at the beginning of the movie, Rowan played by Lexa Doig. She was a believable character, as we discussed earlier, because that had the most character development, probably her and Jason. And so I think she did a decent job acting. Um, the rest, I cannot. The rest doesn't really matter to me. The guy as the pilot, he was kind of funny as this cowboy hat wearing
Yeah, yeah.
pilot. I mean,
Mhm.
he kind of played that role well, but
Lou
there
and
weren't too many
Crutch,
lines.
I think, was the three. Yeah, there were. I think there were some characters that I like enjoyed the idea of more than the acting of, and like they came across okay. Um, I believe it was okay. The dude who had the blue sweater vest on, the wool blue sweater vest, which if I ever saw that wool blue sweater vest, I would geek out. That thing was cool. Didn't make sense. I don't know. It didn't scream 2465 or whatever year they said, but
No.
it looked pretty cool. Um, he his character was entertaining. I think that a lot of these characters I like rooted for the idea of, but the acting wasn't particularly good. It was more so just the trope that they played. You know, we're like,
Yeah.
okay, these guys are smart and they're trying their best. You can kind of get into that. The one group that I really did not like the acting for, and it didn't come across well, was the grunts. The only one that was even interesting at all was Brodsky, and everyone else was just a complete kind of I'm here to get killed and scare you because now your elite soldiers couldn't take out Jason.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I don't even remember any of those people. I remember Brodsky, of course, because the actor Peter Menza, he's in some other movies. Like he's actually like become more famous than this type of movie. I trying to see Gladiator 2. He's in Gladiator 2. He's in 300. He plays a role in that.
Mm.
I recognize him from 300. He's in that movie.
He was the he wasn't the messenger, right? He was
Yeah,
the
Messenger. That's what it. Yeah,
he is
that's
the
what it
messenger. He's
says.
the one who gets kicked
Yeah,
into the pit.
yeah,
100%. He looked very familiar, and a lot of these guys looked familiar. I couldn't place them all. Like they look like people who you've seen in movies if you were watching movies in the 2000s.
yeah.
Um,
They definitely have that look.
mhm.
But yeah, no,
Professor Oh, go on.
I'm just saying like no other acting highlights unless you're gonna go for Professor. I mean, he kind of played that a role of like kind of this shady, a little shady because he's like trying to make money out of Jason at some point. So kind of like this character with ulterior motive. Um,
I love just him saying, "I need money," and they even call out how stupid of a reason that is to keep this going. They're like, "Yeah, they just needed money or something," so they're like, "Let's transport him," and he's like, "Oh yeah, well I would never do that," and then in the background's like, "I could use some money."
yeah. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, it just wasn't good. But I think part of my issue with totally going off on this acting is that this is the sort of movie that doesn't ask anyone to act well. Like I don't think the
no,
director's even interested in trying to get you to act well. They don't care.
no, it doesn't matter for this movie, really.
Mm-hmm.
What matters
The
is Jason, but Jason has no lines, so then it's all body movement. And even that, Jason's just kind of like a rigid guy. A lot of him just standing there, and he has very small movements. It's not even too athletic or anything. So even that is not
I,
impressive to me.
I mean, I made Peter watch this movie just for full disclosure. This was my choice, and the serial killer like the slasher franchises and all of the ones that exist, all the big ones that exist, Jason is pretty much the only one that I've never really been able to get into. Like I've watched the movies, but I just didn't, it didn't really click with me as much as it seems
Me
to have clicked
too.
with other people.
Me too. Yeah.
And I think this is part of the issue is that Jason has no character. He is just I just run around with a machete and just kill the dudes around me because they made fun of me as a kid. There's really no meaning to it. Um,
Yeah. Where
and
Michael
it just
Myers is like much more complex. Like he has it was in a mental institution, and then he like killed his family for some reason. I forget all the whole story, but the
Mhm.
movies go into his past and like how how messed up he is, and they build his character a lot more. I haven't seen all the Friday the 13th, so I don't know like all the details of his history, Jason's history, but yeah, it's kind of like a boring killer.
Yeah, and they try a lot of different things, but typically from what I've seen, that they don't try to make Jason more interesting. They try to make the people that he's hunting more interesting. So like one of them had psychic powers, one of them was an imitator of Jason at some point. Like but Jason himself always stays this kid who was picked on and drowned in the lake because the other camp counselors were essentially bullying him, which is an okay backstory, but they just never go into it further. The coolest thing you get is the twist that his mom was the character in the first one, and mom would have been like a way more interesting slasher to keep going forward in the future, but she didn't. So
Yeah,
you know, at least
and
if they were like, mom's killing every single person because y'all could have been mean to her or mean to her kid.
and if it was if Jason is just a kid who got made fun of, how does he have these like superhuman powers now? Like how to I guess evil is possessed into him, or I don't know. The
I I
Satan's
I,
in him or something. I have
I
no idea.
I think there's like I think there's some comic book explanations for that, and I didn't read the comic books, but I was
Yeah.
looking this up a little bit, and apparently he's got a very rich comic book history, which doesn't help the movies in my opinion. But if you are interested, uh, let's move on from the acting, and we're gonna go to our next segment and get ready for this, Peter. You're gonna hear something in your headset, okay? 5 things you likely did not know. I'm gonna go ahead and start with this one. Number one, Jason Voorhees never blinks in this film. It's very obvious when he's Uber Jason, in my opinion. When he is regular Jason, one of his eyes is closed completely the whole time, but otherwise, he never blinks once.
Yeah. It doesn't show his face like a close up a lot until he's Uber Jason. Then it shows his red eyes just wide open the whole time. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I didn't notice that either. I didn't notice that, so that's a good thing to look out for the second time I watch this, which won't exist.
There's one venue I think would be a really good place to watch this again, and that is in the background of a Halloween party with adults
Yeah.
that no one needs
Oh,
to actually hear anything.
exactly. Or like a midnight movie where you're all drunk or something and just
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
just yelling at the screen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take me away, Peter. What you got?
Yeah, so I found out that James Isaac, the director, is not really famous for being much of a director. He actually started his career uh, creating creatures in films like Return of the Jedi and Gremlins, and so he was a special effects artist or creator, and somehow he got the job to direct Jason X, and I have no idea what that story is, but it
He
should
must
be
have
an
just like
interesting story.
he just must have like pitched the design of Uber Jason. He's like,
Maybe, yeah, and
we
that
can
was
get him
it.
to space and turn him into this, and they're like,
You
yeah,
can
go
direct
ahead.
the movie. Yeah, you can make
We need
the
new
it's
Jason
yours.
movies. Let's do it. Um, and again, I think that there are times where you can definitely see that this guy cares about special effects because there are a few that are really interesting, and we'll talk more about that. But I don't think he got many opportunities to direct after this, if any at all. And I think there's a good reason for that, James.
I
I'm sure
don't
you
think
would
so.
agree with that.
Yeah.
He passed away unfortunately in 2012.
Yeah.
Um, But number three, David Cronenberg's cameo was done as a favor to his former protege, James Isaac, so the director, for loaning his Canadian based production crew to him. In exchange, he wanted to get killed on screen. So you hear that right. David Cronenberg didn't appear in the movie as a favor to the director. David Cronenberg said, I'm going to give you my team and you're going to let me get killed on camera in your movie.
Okay, yeah,
It's a win-win. You got to get David Cronenberg in there. I love David Cronenberg, and just let him show up in things.
yeah. Um, I can't remember what else he's in. Is it The Fly? Is he in that or
He was the director of The Fly.
director
Um,
of The Fly?
he is a very well-known director. As far as like if you've seen
Acting, he's
Videodrome,
yeah.
Existence, Dead Ringers, he's directed a ton of movies. A History of Violence is probably one of his more popular ones.
Oh
Um,
yes, that's a good one.
he was he has had a cameo in another movie that we've done on this podcast. The movie was To Die For. He shows up at the end to, oh my gosh, spoilers for To Die For, guys. Skip ahead 15 seconds if you don't want to know it. He was the character who shows up at the end as the fixer to take care of the main character. And he was also in I think it was a Shudder series called Slasher, and he had a
Okay,
pretty
yeah.
prominent role in that. But go ahead with number four here.
Number four. So I found out that Kane Hodder, who plays Jason, is from Auburn, California, which is where
Sick.
I've spent a lot of time there because that's where my wife is from that area. So he's from there. He if you look up pictures of him, he looks like just a big biker dude. Makes
Mm-hmm.
sense coming
Mm-hmm.
from Auburn, California.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he's a juggalo. He's a ICP
Oh my
fan,
god.
and apparently he has the word "kill" tattooed on the back of his bottom lip. I just read that, which is interesting. So he
That's
seems
funny
like
too.
a badass guy, but he also like spends time donating or helping with children's burn victims, and people that have met him describe him as nice to fans and really enjoying
One of my
his films.
favorite things about stuff like this is you find out the people who are like playing the craziest people are usually some of the nicest dudes around. Um,
Yeah.
I I I love all of these things for him. I watched the Arrow 4K release that just came out. That was actually kind of what sparked this. Is that the box set looks so awesome? I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna watch this movie finally. I never watched it before, and the Kane Hodder does an introduction to this movie, and it is such a funny introduction because it's just old Kane Hodder. It was recorded this year, because the box set just came out this year, and he's just
Oh,
old
yeah.
as all heck, sitting in his house, just like, okay, this is Jason X. Thank you for watching. Now, I'm gonna take you out. And he pretends to kill the camera, and he's just such a goofy seeming dude for how
Yeah.
physically imposing he is in these movies. I can understand why
Yeah.
people like this dude. He's got good charisma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So,
That's awesome. Auburn, California too. That's so good.
yeah, represent.
uh there's some nice like little gold town cities around there. Me and my friends used to drive around there at like midnight to 1 a.m. Um
Yeah,
it's
I
really
love
nice
Auburn.
driving areas. Yeah. Very
Yeah, it's
pretty.
beautiful. Beautiful. It
Um
got the river behind it, the
mhm,
canyon,
mhm.
and
I don't know who's gonna get blown up in Auburn, but like there's a lot of nice hiking out there too. So
I think they used Auburn. I thought they used part of that in another movie, like Back to the Future or something. Because there's a famous there's the tower there. It's like a church or it's a clock tower or something. I don't know.
I know that they use the giant bridge near there for a Fast and
Oh,
Furious
that's
movie.
Triple X.
Triple X.
Yeah,
Thank you. It wasn't Fast and
Triple
Furious. It was
X.
Triple X. Yeah, you
Yeah,
got it exactly right.
the it's the Forest Hill
Hmm.
Bridge.
Hmm.
Yeah, that one. It's one of the tallest bridges like that over a river, and either in California or the United States, and it's a pretty scary bridge. I've been across it or walked on it, um, and we always actually, when we visit, we always go down the canyon and go right there and like hang out by the
Yeah,
river,
there's a
just
nice
right
little
under the
like
bridge. Yeah,
there's a nice little stopping spot right there. It's not a hike really. It's just like you can get in.
yeah,
It's really cool
yeah,
though.
yeah.
Okay. Super side note. It's near that area. Have you ever done Stevens Trail?
Mm, I don't. Does it go along the river? Is it?
It does go along the river. It's a little bit further south, I think. It's right before you get to Auburn. Um, if
I'm
you
not
haven't,
sure. Yeah,
and you go back there at all and you want to hike, look up Stevens Trail. It is just the most nice hike. It's got such beautiful views. I loved it. I took everyone there all the time.
yeah.
Anyways, side note. So number five. During a Q&A, screenwriter Todd Farmer said that there were about 20,000 people aboard the Solaris space station when the Grendel inadvertently crashed into it. Now, apparently, he had so many people ask him about it that he got very annoyed, and he specified the exact number. 19,727 people were killed when the Grendel crashed into the Solaris space station. Living under glass in space. Come on.
1900, 727, the exact number.
Yeah, yeah.
That's funny.
So technically, this makes this the movie with the highest Jason body count of any of them.
I was reading that on Reddit, yeah, because someone included that number into the count, like an indirect kill. But apparently, Jason and Michael Myers are pretty close at like 160, around that range of kills, direct kills, and
Huh.
through their entire franchises. So
That
they're kind of
that
equal.
that seems shocking to me because it seemed like in the first like two Michael Myers Halloween movies, he wasn't really killing that many people. It wasn't a quantity thing, you know.
No,
Whereas with
no,
Jason, I
yeah,
guess it probably wasn't either. But
yeah, not
Jason
in the
didn't get any
first
kills
ones.
in the first movie.
Yeah, no, he missed out on that. His mom got the glory.
And then you get what was I don't they called I think they just called him like Baghead Jason, and he was like such a cool design. If they would have stuck with that design, I think they could have had something even cooler. I guess not. The hockey mask is pretty iconic.
Yeah, that reminds me of the scene when the the woman is taking his mask off when they're like kind of doing an autopsy in this movie, and she's like, "Oh, poor baby," or whatever, some line like that. Like you can, his face is just completely like burned and like disgusting. And she just puts it back on, like, let's close that back up.
And it's funny because she like starts cutting his face like off, and then she just instead
Yeah,
of like taking the face off, just pulls the mask up. It's like what is
it's
going
like
on?
whoops.
Yeah. Oh, we'll just go ahead and jump into it. Let's talk about the creativity and cinematography portion of this. This is where I think like if you want to give a lot of credit to this movie, this is a section where I think you can give it some credit because the one thing that this has going for it is that it has a special effects artist that was making the movie. Now that doesn't mean that it's shown through at all times, but I feel like this is the one area where we get to see some cool things. Um, I'll start with just saying that I thought that the CGI that they used in this movie of like the spaceships and stuff, it wasn't necessarily competently good, but they made it look good in the context of this film.
Yeah,
Uh, like hiding the first spaceship on Earth in the sandstorm and like blending it that way was a clever choice, and they managed to make the CGI not stand out like a sore thumb.
I agree. Like a lot of the space scenes were pretty. They could, they were pretty good. I mean, they're not like industrial light magic level, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not even like the old Star Wars movies with the models. I mean, were probably better than this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could. It's just a different type of thing, but I wasn't. That wasn't what. That wasn't a major drawback for me. the space scenes or anything. It was fine. It didn't.
Hmm.
It was adequate for the movie. It
Okay.
wasn't groundbreaking, but yeah,
I thought that the design of the spaceship, while not necessarily overly creative and unique, was shot pretty well with Jason in particular, like him walking through hallways with multiple doors or him walking through these long space hallways. It was shot pretty well. And
yeah.
you said earlier that you thought that the lighting was a big issue, and I
I
agreed with
didn't
that
like it.
completely because
It
the lighting
looked
also
like,
had two different tones.
yeah, there was a lot of, if there was a lot of blue in this movie.
Hmm.
First of all, like the pretty the main color is blue in this movie if you're
Hmm.
looking at light. And so too much blue, and even like the guy had a blue, they had like blue uniforms and stuff. So that was, it was like, that was too much for me. And then just the lighting, it was very cheesy lighting, like not cheesy, just not creative lighting. It was like your high school picture, that your senior picture type lighting, like
Hmm.
oversaturated, too much light for a dark spaceship, not the right angles, and it makes it look like a TV show instead of like a film, like a movie. It looked like some crappy space TV show. Like, I can't think of
Yeah,
one. I mean, even Star Trek is better than this.
it has the way I would think of it is like soap opera lighting almost.
Yeah, soap opera lighting. There we go. Yeah,
Like everything is way too lit up. Like you need pools of darkness in a horror movie, and
yeah,
even the darkness was lit up. You,
yeah,
you know, and I would agree. Like, okay, so when we're watching the first scenes on Earth, or even when they come back to Earth after, one of the big things that I think was different, and this might have been what you were picking up on when you actually liked the vibe of it, is that they had darkness, and they had
yeah,
pools of darkness, and it actually was shot well. And I mean, it had that early 2000s, like, like it's just, it's like your saturation is almost zero. Like the lighting is weird and it's a little harsh and it looks a little grim dark almost. But the pools of lighting existed. The stairway was dark. The room was dark. The flashlights did something. But then you get
yeah,
on the spaceship and everything is so lit up and so bright that it's
yeah,
just hard to feel that like tension from the lighting.
yeah.
Nowhere is that lit up all the time.
No, it's like, is there studio lights in this spaceship? Is there a
Yeah,
ring light behind the?
exactly.
You, like, yeah. So that was one thing that really stood out to me, was the lighting. It was not creative or good. It was just generic type lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the cost, cinematography, we're still in that. I mean, yeah, the special effects. We're talked about the space stuff. Um, the violence is good for a gore film, slasher film. I mean, we got chopping off the arm in the beginning, spraying out blood. It looked realistic. You know, they had that band-aid, kind of futuristic band-aid they put on it that sucked into the stump, and that looked cool.
Yeah.
Then they had these nanites on the spaceship. This I don't know what these little like nano bots
The
that like
mm-hmm.
crawl all over you and repair your body, and that
Mm-hmm.
was pretty cool. That effect, it looked good. Like, it was fine. Like, I didn't there was I couldn't you couldn't do it better, really. Like, it just
Mm-hmm.
looked fine. It looked good. The nanites that repaired people and create Uber Jason. Yeah.
100% agreed. I thought some of the when the guy gets chopped in half and he's crawling on the ground, that was a pretty cool effect.
Yeah, that was
Um,
brutal. Yeah.
the face smashing scene was pretty cool effects.
Love that. That was
Uh,
really cool.
and I'm just like going off the hit list here. The When they found the cockpit scene afterwards, and it had like, I don't know what he did to Lou because it didn't really show that, but whatever he did to Lou was one of the most brutal kills easily because Lou was all over the place.
Oh yeah, like split into different pieces. Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
That was messed up.
there were moments where like they hit it, you know. Brodsky
Yeah,
in his space suit looked really cool when he came back and he like stood up with Jason X, or Uber Jason, excuse me, and that was a cool moment. You knew he was gonna lose, but it was still a cool moment. Um,
yeah.
and then this is almost stupid, but it was also hilarious. I laughed pretty well on this one when he was when Brodsky was riding Jason X back into the atmosphere.
Oh yeah, that was funny. But it didn't look that bad either. It
No.
actually it it was believable. Like it didn't look really crappy or anything.
Mhm.
Flying toward Earth too.
Yeah, and I really did enjoy the idea that they just put Jason right back into the Crystal Lake, so you could just keep going if you wanted to make more movies. They're like, he's back in there. Don't worry, it's cool. Don't worry, he's back. So
Yeah,
he can get the camp counselors again.
that goes to what I was talking about of defying the laws of physics and everything. Like, so Jason made re-entry into like Earth 2's atmosphere and like the mask survived and like okay, like Jason is a god. Jason is a god.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
He's impervious to everything. It's just impossible.
yeah.
We're lucky
I
that
mean,
he only likes that
sp-
one lake.
speaking of him dying, he is dead in this movie. If it weren't for these nanites, wouldn't he? Would he have been dead on that table if he didn't land on a med bed essentially? Like,
I'm sure that at some point they explained how he can regenerate limbs because they took out everything, and then that was really good effects actually when they were shooting him with the giant bullets or whatever it was, and his like
yeah,
head blew up and his leg blew up and his arm blew up. It
that
was like
was brutal
it's,
too. That was cool.
it's, it's pretty brutal, but
Yeah.
of course then he lands on the med bed and they get to turn him into Uber Jason with the nanobots, which
Yeah.
you don't it didn't explain very well. It doesn't really matter, I guess. Like we
But
can't find.
med beds are real.
How come they don't make everybody Uber them? You know, how come it's just Jason who gets to be Uber Jason? Everyone else is just regular them, and they're like, "Here you go, Uber Jason."
According to our president, med beds are rolling out and coming soon to you.
that's unfortunately that is true. Uh, the body that was spinning on the rotor, that was pretty funny. That was
Oh,
brutal.
I sent you that line. I texted it to you while I was watching the movie. It's like it's something like he's screwed or something. He got screwed. What did I text you? I texted you
Let's see.
the exact line. It was, "What's his condition? He's screwed." That was a I like that line. That was a funny
Yeah,
one. Where he's just this guy gets impaled on this screw that's there for some reason. I don't know what this is, a drill bit or something for mining, but he just lands on it and then his body starts spinning down the screw like clockwise,
it's
like getting
goofy.
threaded. Yeah.
The side note, the terrariums were awesome. I would love to have just those terrariums exist. Really, the sphere terrariums that were in Clutch's room. Um,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I like the holodeck idea. I mean, it's ripped off from Star Trek, but
hmm hmm
um, it was an interesting interesting, you know, aspect of the movie to have that where they used it to fake Jason out at one
hmm
point. So it was a tool that was used against
I
Jason.
and it if they had only thrown it in as that one scene where the stoner dude and his friend get killed, that would have been a
It wouldn't have
waste.
made any sense. Yeah. I mean, they
But
had to
when they
use
did the
it.
callback near the end, it felt a lot better. Agreed.
Yeah.
We did get a head knock, which is a homage to Jason Takes Manhattan, where he punched someone's head off. Um,
Oh
At
yeah,
the end, it felt like they were doing the greatest hits of Jason's former kills. Kind of once they did that, they're like, okay, now get the sleeping bags. Okay, we got that. Um, which
I love the
I don't want
sleeping
to get.
bag. I didn't know that that was in the what I don't know one of the old movies. Is that one of the ways
Yeah, it was. I can't remember which Friday the 13th, but it wasn't one of the old ones where he kills him in the sleeping bag.
he grabs he grabs one camper in a sleeping bag and uses and they're inside the sleeping bag, and then he beats the other one with the person that's inside the sleeping bag, like putting a rock in a sock and just like
Hmm.
beating someone with that. Like it's so just like a rag doll, like brutal, just
Oh, it would be a
and the
terrible way to die.
strength to like just shows his like immense strength to just swing someone like a bat in a sleeping bag and just beat someone else in it. I I thought that was a creative death scene.
And it was. It's like it's such a good death. I mean, them redoing it, okay, but pulling homage to a movie that had come out 20 years prior and a series that I think before Jason X there had been like a 10-year waiting period before the last one.
Yeah, and that makes me think like you didn't need to see any other Friday the 13th movie before you saw Jason X. Like really, it didn't matter. Like you could just see this movie and this guy. I mean, well, kind of you would wonder who he is. Why does he have a hockey mask on? But I don't know. It doesn't really matter if I've seen all the movies or anything. Like I know who Jason is. If you've seen one of them before, if you've seen the original or the second one, I think the second movie where he appears, just if you know who Jason is, you don't need to know his entire history to watch this movie.
No, certainly not. It does make me wonder. So Friday, Jason Takes Manhattan was 8. So Jason Goes to Hell must have been 9, and that was 93. So there had been 9 years between this film and the last Jason movie. And Jason Goes to Hell is just awful. It was just such a cool concept. They blew
Yeah,
it.
I
Um,
it just the name makes me want to see it, but yeah.
mhm. They knew what they're doing. The marketers knew what they were doing, and no one else seemed to. I got a little distracted because I just found out that apparently there was a new Friday the 13th that came out in 2025.
Yeah, it's like a remake.
Yeah. I'm not. It's an unofficial fan film remake.
Okay.
I don't know what's
Yeah.
up with that. I'm gonna move on from that. It exists if anyone's hearing and wants to know about that. But so
I'd
the
watch
the
it.
yeah, like whatever. The cinematography and creativity is definitely the one place where I don't think this movie was lacking.
No.
The one part that I disliked, and I'm not gonna say it's bad, but I disliked it, was the whole KM transformation. Seems so ridiculously cheesy to me.
Yeah.
They were like, let's turn her into someone from the Matrix, throw her in the black spandex, and now she's gonna do these like spin shooting, and she it was so stupid.
It yeah, you're right. It was out there. I mean, it was cool how she killed Jason, but
Hmm.
it's almost like it just came out of nowhere, her turning into that and silly. Yeah, you said the Matrix. The Matrix didn't it came out like right before this movie, so they probably got
They
some
saw that.
inspiration for
They're
sure.
like, now she's got
Yeah.
to spin around while she's
Like
shooting her gun. She can't just shoot it
they're
while
like we
standing
got to
still.
do that. We got to do that, of course.
Um, but the part I laughed the most at, and maybe this is just me, um, having watched too many horror movies, but the part I laughed the most at is when Kinsa was in the escape pod and she hit the gas and it just rammed right up into the Grendel. I thought that
Yeah.
was hilarious. I just started laughing.
Stupid.
It was so
Uh
dumb. Uh, I like that they gave her just an immediate like comeuppance on it, like not even you almost got away, just like straight up. No, you just doomed yourself immediately.
Yeah.
Pretty funny. Uh, let's move on to editing and pacing. Which, as far as editing and pacing goes, I'm gonna go ahead and say this is just off the cuff. My thoughts on it is that it worked for a slasher movie.
Hmm.
It wasn't overly confusing as far as linearity goes. I knew where they were going. The layout of the ship didn't make any sense, but I don't think it needed to. Uh,
Yeah, I didn't know where I was on the ship. I was lost. I mean, who
mhm,
knows where you are? But does that matter? No, it doesn't matter.
yeah. The pacing was okay. I with a movie like this, if you're not hitting on all cylinders, I say you could always cut 20 minutes. And every single one of the deaths that was just someone getting stabbed in the gut could have just been a part that wasn't in the movie.
Yeah,
Because come on, guys, it's not that interesting.
no.
Like you got all these cool deaths, and then you have someone who just keeps getting stabbed in the gut. Just don't show it. Just move on.
Yeah, yeah. I was not hampered by editing or pacing. Like it was just, it was fine in the background. It
Mhm.
didn't stand out to me, so that's a good thing, I guess, if it doesn't stand out, unless something is really known for really good editing or something. But this is fine, adequate. Um,
Right. I think like in the context of this film,
yeah, the
adequate's pretty
context.
good.
Yeah, I mean, it was fast paced. I mean, he just starts killing pretty much right away, and there was a few pauses, like when they had to unfreeze it when he was still frozen and on the ship, and they had their downtime,
Hmm, hmm.
which they're like having sex and like partying and stuff. And then he wakes up, and then it's on, and he's just killing like reliably after that, just until the
Yep.
end. Like,
Yep.
and so
100%.
similar
I
pace throughout the movie. I mean, there's not really it's not that dynamic of a pace or anything. So
no, and if for what it's worth, like as far as the editing goes, I would say that they don't know how to create tension in this movie. They just don't know how to
no,
do it. Because like there are moments when you can see them kind of trying, like when they're all in the room and she's like, "I don't think he's out there," and then he busts through the other wall. That's a jump scare
yeah,
in a lot of movies, right? But in this one, it was like whatever. Who cares?
yeah,
He
no.
was definitely going to get in there anyway.
There's it does not create the tension like more modern horror movies try to do. More modern horror movies are more realistic than this. Like this is kind of a joke movie, and um, yeah, there is not that care to create that suspense, like a long
Mhm.
pause or a long shot of just something. It just moves on, and that actually gets me to the sound. I don't know if you want to move on
Yeah, go
to
ahead. Go
sound,
ahead. You're good.
but the score in this movie is horrible. Like the music, there it's doesn't really there's not much music in the movie to begin with. So, but then when there is, it's just so like cheesy, and it doesn't even add anything, or it actually subtracts from
Yeah,
the like scary suspenseful thing. It doesn't create suspense, and there's barely any music in the movie. So
I'm
that
so
was a
happy
part
you're
that it's
saying
like,
that.
dude, music is so
Hmm,
important in a movie to
hmm.
create that tense feeling and to create the mood. It's like
It
it's half of a movie is the soundtrack and the music.
it's just
And
crazy to me because like with Friday the 13th, you have a good score you can just go steal from any of the other movies.
well, it was
Like
the same guy that did the music. So
yeah, so
it's
like
just
what
like
happened?
I guess they paid him like $20 and he's just like, here, just use old clips and like, I don't know, like I'm just making this up, but it's like, it seems like he wasn't present for like half the movie. Like,
No, he phoned it in 100%. He was like, okay, space and maybe because it had that like almost 80s like fantasy feeling to it, which is not where you want to be in this film. It doesn't make any sense.
no.
I agree 100% with you. The music is the spot where I rated this lowest, and I actually
It's horrible.
Janice and I
Yeah.
watched this together, and at some point I was like, this movie has absolutely zero tension, and it's because every single time they want to bring in music, it lightens the mood. No
Yeah.
matter what is happening, the music is lightening the mood from what's happening, and it's already goofy on screen. So if you can imagine that they're lightening the mood from goofy and how bad the music is for where it's being set, and it's not complex music; it's very simple music. It's barely even
Oh.
like made for TV level music. Like this is
Yeah.
just
Oh my
bad,
gosh.
bad soundtrack. They
It's
would
like
have done better.
it's like the presets on like a keyboard. Like let's just
Yeah.
it's like a generic like stock music that like a stock photo. This is like stock music that you
Mm-hmm.
the rights are
Mm-hmm.
just like out like it's just open copy just to everybody. You can just download it and like put it in your like movie your B movie like
And maybe
uh
that's what it was. Maybe they cheaped out and
maybe
like this guy, like
yeah
he's like, I wrote it, but I actually just downloaded it from
yeah
downloading in 2002. I guess you could, and it probably would
I
sound
don't
like
know
that. It was really bad though. I agree 100%. I think that the soundtrack actively made the movie worse just by existing within it.
yeah you
And
like if you had better music in this movie and better yeah better sound um it could have been a much better movie I not
think
really
about
but I mean
what made like Friday the 13th kind of
yeah
popular,
the
one of the most popular. Yeah, and they only do it as like a flashback goof off scene. That's the only time you hear it. And it's not
yeah
that you have to use that exact thing, but it's like that's if you watch a slasher flick like The Burning, right?
yeah
And you watch Friday the 13th, they're pretty much the same. The only difference being is that Friday the 13th has a much better soundtrack, so it's actually creepy sounding.
and Halloween for God's sake I mean
Mm-hmm.
that's an
Mm-hmm.
iconic like score for Halloween and that is a creepy like sounding score
Mm-hmm.
just the little piano and everything it's dark. We were talking about Terminator a few weeks ago. Like the soundtrack to Terminator is so important to the feel
Mm-hmm.
of the movie, the like
Seriously.
futuristic soundtrack. This movie they just gave up on it, and it's
Phoned it
really a
in
bad
100%.
choice. Yeah, phoned it in. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if anyone if I were to blame one specific portion of this film on it feeling like a joke of a movie, it is the soundtrack. Above
Yep.
all else, and there are other issues, but the soundtrack is so glaringly bad to me. And
Soundtrack and then lighting is second for me.
mhm, mhm. The lighting would be hard to overcome, but I bet you if you had like a little bit of just even a little bit of rumbling bass to get your like blood pumping in this movie at all, you might be willing to overlook it. Because oh
Something,
my
yeah.
gosh, every time that it was dark and they were in the storage holds and Jason was popping out in corners, it just sounded like it was a fun little thing. Like because
Yeah.
the music is all like major notes. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It's uh
It's garbage. So the sound I don't even need to say it. It's just bad. It's bad.
yeah.
Watch any of the scenes. Watch the scenes near the end on the spaceship where apparently everything is about to explode, and there should be a lot of tension, and the music sounds so upbeat and so happy.
Hmm.
It's awful. Um, we'll move on to our next little portion here. Your three favorite scenes of the film. Peter, why don't you lead us off here?
Um, well, my first favorite scene is actually the first scene in the movie in the Crystal Lake research facility where they find Jason or we find Jason chained up and he's about to be taken by this doctor and then the woman is like pleading Rowan is her name is pleading with Dr. Wimmer to not take him because Dr. Wimmer wants to do further studies on his rapular cell regeneration. Um, and then he breaks loose and then kills like the guard and then Rowan gets him finally into a cryogenic chamber with the shotgun, and like kind of traps him in there. So that's one of my that's the first favorite scene there. It was like at this point in the movie, like I said earlier, I actually was thinking, oh, this is not that bad. This, this
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm on board here. I'm on board with this movie. Like this is cool. Um,
They had darkness in the movie.
yeah, darkness and just there wasn't anything really wrong with that first part of the movie that I can
Hmm.
pick out. Um, you didn't really need like heavy music at that point in the movie. Usually in movies at a beginning, you don't have a lot of heavy music, I guess, unless I mean it depends, but a lot of times it seems like they build up the music, like it gets more toward the middle of the movie, or
Hmm.
just it's not like right in an opening scene a lot of times where you have the need for good music there or
Hmm.
good soundtrack. Um, we trading turns, or do you want me to go
No,
through all
go
my?
ahead, go ahead, go through
Okay,
yours and all.
I like the liquid nitrogen face smash. That's what I call it, where Jason, when he wakes up on the operating table in the spaceship, the first person he sees, the person that was like doing the autopsy, he grabs them and just pushes their face into this sink of liquid nitrogen. I can assume that's what it is, and I don't know why there's just a sink of it there, like for whatever reason. But he pushes her face into it and then pulls it out, and her face is frozen, and just then slams her face down on like the sink counter, and it just smashes her like face. Um, that was a pretty creative kill, and
Hmm.
I was like, I thought that was cool, even though it's like horrible. But I actually found out that they tried to recreate this on MythBusters when I was doing some research for this movie. I haven't seen that MythBusters, but I read about it, and apparently they made like a gel mold of a person as realistic as they could, like someone's head, and froze it, but they couldn't get it to just shatter like that because only the outside froze with liquid nitrogen. So I
That
thought that
makes
was
a lot of
interesting.
sense, but it doesn't play as well when you pull them back up.
Yeah, it was cool. It reminded me of. I keep talking about Terminator. That's my reference in this podcast. Everything goes back to Terminator. But actually, Terminator 2, we have, the T-1000 get frozen and he gets blown apart. It kind of reminded me of that.
Hmm.
Um, my third favorite scene, even though it's cheesy, is just the death scene of Jason where the KM-14 android is like kicking ass and shooting Jason apart and like blowing his leg off and his arm off, and just like it just like this is like the turnaround, like the hope that these people have against Jason. Like finally something's working against him, and finally they're getting somewhere against Jason. So it was like
So
the
narrative just gave it an
turnaround.
upload, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, she just got an upload. And yeah, I like that one just because it was like the turning point for them. But then it goes back to crap. Also, like if I was gonna have another scene, even though not, I'm beyond three now. When he wakes up as uh the Uber Jason cyborg, that's cool.
Hmm.
It is
Hmm.
also very cheesy, but it's cool.
Yeah, it's one of those. Uber Jason is, like I said, it's conflicting for me because on one hand, it looks a little cheap, but on the other hand, it also looks pretty cool. It's like I
Yeah.
don't know. The hockey mask or the mask for me is where I'm kind of like conflicted. He almost looks like he's from Hellraiser or something, right? But the mask,
Yeah. Yeah.
looks simultaneously like a toy and like a torture device. It's weird.
Hellraiser, I love that movie. Speaking of that movie, speaking of Hellraiser, the first Hellraiser,
Hmm.
that's a much better movie than this, and it's actually very creative. Like just the story of that movie. It's I like that one,
I hear that
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser goes to space in one of their movies too, Hellraiser Bloodlines.
I'm sure yeah, it gets worse, but the first like two movies are good. Hellraiser and Hellraiser 2.
um, did you watch the recent Netflix reboot?
Yes, and that one was pretty good too. The, it was like a remake of it's not like a remake of the first one. It's kind of its own thing.
It had a completely like brand new story, but
Yeah.
uh, I was like mixed on it because I thought it was pretty good, but I think they didn't go hard enough for a Hellraiser movie. I was like, they can go a little bit harder, which is weird.
No, the first one is actually way more violent and brutal.
hmm
Like it's just way more twisted than that remake one.
I think they were trying to get new audiences involved and like, okay, well, we got to back off just a little bit, which who knows. It's hard
Yeah.
for me to say that that's the right move to make with a Hellraiser movie, but
With
it's
the
a move.
name Hellraiser, yeah, I know.
um. Okay, so my three favorite scenes even. I agree with you on one of them immediately. My first favorite scene is that liquid nitrogen face smash. And the thing about the liquid nitrogen face smash is it gives such high hopes for the level of creativity that the future kills can have. It's like, okay, so he he destroys her face in liquid nitrogen, he holds it up, you see her, you know, face is gone. And you're like, wow, okay, so we're gonna get some like cool sci-fi future kills going on here, and it completely decides to just ignore that. We don't get anything else to the level of this first one as far as creativity and just setup go, because as far as creativity and setup go in the slasher film, this is a very unique death, and it's a very well done one. Um, so just awesome off the bat of him waking up. The scene that shocked me the most is my second favorite scene. That was the Lou's cockpit aftermath, and
Yeah.
that's not that we saw what happened to Lou in the cockpit. It's that we saw someone go up there and look around, and it was easily the most brutal scene of the movie to me. All of a sudden, there's just like gore everywhere, and there's body parts all dismembered, and it's all disgusting and torn apart, and who knows what happened, but it was just shocking for the fact that they went for it. They went for it in that scene. They're like, "Here you go. This is just a whole murder, disgusting emporium."
It was kind of like a scene out of Event Horizon, actually. Like
hmm
just a brutal hellscape of carnage.
And it didn't make any sense, and it didn't really fit in with what the rest of the film had shown us up to this point. But it was
Yeah,
cool.
it wasn't like Jason's like it wasn't his style. Like
Yeah,
it's like he was extra mad at this person or something. Like
right. Like, what did Lou do to
for no
him?
reason. Yeah, why? He had actually nothing to do with him. But yeah,
he knew that this was going to lead to the 19,000 kills, so he had to make it super cool looking. He's like, oh, this one is actually 19,768.
yeah.
I probably got that number wrong. Anyway, my third favorite scene is just it's more than one quick little scene. It's when Brodsky saves the day. So after he goes out and fixes the whatever lock was making the airlock not work to get to the savior ship, the Teodora. And if I remember that off the top of my head, yes. Um, and Uber Jason is about to take out everybody who's waiting to get on the ship, and then Brodsky shows back up in his cool red space suit. He's just looking down Jason. He's like, "Let's go, let's do this." Um, and then arguably wins that fight overall.
Yeah.
Just really cool. You don't in a lot of these movies you don't get the one-on-one standoff where someone wins. I think it's happened with Jason before with one of the characters, Tommy, but
Hmm.
it doesn't happen often. So it was really cool that they did give an opportunity for Brodsky to come back and redeem his failures from earlier completely.
Yeah.
Uh, and then it just led to the most goofy space ride scene I've ever seen.
I mean, if we Brodsky, I think would have a better chance of surviving than Jason because he was actually in
hmm
some sort of spacesuit.
A future
Even though,
spacesuit.
e- even though they probably both wouldn't survive if we're basing it on like the physics that we know, but Jason was not in any self-contained breathing apparatus. He had open skin in in outer space, just plummeting into the earth. Um, so yeah, you're right. When I think Brodsky would be the winner if someone's going to survive that.
Hmm.
Uh,
And likely no one would, but
yeah. uh,
the and what it does for me is it removes the terrible taste in my mouth of Brodsky's original death. And his original death is when he gets stabbed through the metal and he goes, "It's gonna take more than one stab to kill this old dog." And he gets stabbed again. He goes, "That'll do it."
that'll. I thought he was dead. Yeah, that's right. Surprise, he's back. Yeah.
So stupid too. It's just one of the worst lines in the movie. Like, it was trying to be funny and it was so dumb I couldn't even laugh.
And I guess they didn't have time to throw him on a med bed. I mean, yeah,
I from I the version I saw had him on a med bed at one point. At the very least, they stood back up because Rowan found him, and everyone else wanted to ditch him. But Rowan's like, "We can't ditch him. I'll help him." Um,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah. So those are my three favorite scenes. Um, Now, unless you have anything else specifically, we can jump into the review portion of this where we give our final thoughts.
Um, I think I've said my piece. Unless I have some notes that are, I wrote down cheesy a lot. We already
Yeah,
discussed how cheesy it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
Blue light. I don't know. I don't have anything
Okay, so
else. Yeah.
I'll start off with the review here because then I think I'm gonna save the well, here we'll go ahead and start. So I'm gonna give this story a two. It's not that the story does anything good. It does do a lot of things vaguely bad. The story doesn't really matter. It still didn't deliver anything that was worthwhile. So I'm giving the story a two. The acting is a two. They didn't ask the people to act in this film, but they also didn't act particularly well. I can't give it more than a two, and the two is only not a one because Kane Hodder is physically imposing.
Yeah.
Cinematography and creativity, I'm giving that a four because this is where the movie actually had some sort of substance and made sense to make as a whole entire movie. Without the cinematography and creativity in this film, there's just really no reason to have this movie. So I wouldn't say that this is a movie that didn't deserve to be made. And the only reason I'm going to say that is because of cinematography and creativity. Editing, pacing, that's a three. It was adequate. It didn't do anything great. It didn't do anything bad. The pacing didn't feel super off. I wasn't constantly waiting for the movie to end, and it didn't feel like it had a longer runtime than an hour and a half. It felt like an hour and a half. The music is a one, and I would give the music a zero if I could because it actively hurt the movie, but I can't according to my rubric and my self-imposed set of standards. The music was god awful, and it made the movie worse. And there's just no way that this guy watched this movie and made this soundtrack. He didn't watch this movie. That leads me to a 4.5 out of 10 for my overall score.
Yeah. I think I mean I pretty much agree with you. Story, it's not it's not completely bad. I mean, it's not good because it's so simple. Um, there's not like there's not much room for a plot hole, but I don't. Yeah, not good is a good rating. Number two for that.
Mm-hmm.
Acting is it's there's not much acting either. It's not really good. I mean, it where majority of the film is believable and grounded within the reality the film is portraying. The majority of this film is not believable, so I don't, and the acting is yeah not good. I'd give it a two. Um, the cinematography, I would give that. I wouldn't give the cinematography a 3, but I would give the creativity of like the death scenes and the, you know, creative ways to kill people. I'd give that
Mm-hmm.
effective for this movie. The actual cinematography, I would give it a not good. Um, it's not completely horrible, but it's just the lighting is horrible. I mean, it's not horrible. It's just not does not fit this movie. The lighting
Mm-hmm.
doesn't fit this movie, and
Yeah.
so I guess I would, if I'm splitting it cinematography and creativity, I would have to we'd have to go with 2.5 so I can split those because the creativity is a 3 and the cinematography is a 2. So I'll just
Okay.
go 2.5 in that. Uh, and then the editing and pacing, it's fine. I would give it a 3 just for because this type of movie, it you don't need like some fancy. It was the pacing was proper for the type of movie it was. Um, so I'd give that a 3. Music and sounds, I would definitely am giving that a 1. It was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So
So bad.
so what do we have here?
I'm guessing you're at either a three and a
I
half or a
think
four.
I think I'm like a half point above you maybe. If you I should have done the math
Two,
earlier. Two,
two,
two, two
two
and
and
a
a
half,
half,
3,
3, 1.
1.
So that's divided by 25 is 4. 4.2.
4.2. All right, so
Yeah, that feels. I mean, it's harsh, but
4.2.
it's fair too. You know, like being harsh isn't bad if it's
No,
deserved.
it is definitely deserved for. I mean, I mean, it got worse ratings actually by most people that rate movies.
Yeah, I
I was
think. I mean,
looking.
you can look at like the IMDb, and we're not far off of that. That's at a 4.5, right? And the
Yeah,
movies recently got a lot more
it's kind of like
apologists to
probably
it.
nostalgic, like
Hmm.
nostalgia or whatever. Yeah, but for what it is, there are better slasher movies. There's better space movies. There's better space kind of slasher movies, I think. I mean,
They've
Alien.
been done pretty dirty. Besides,
Yeah,
because like what do you have like Leprechaun in space? You have
I mean, yeah. If you consider Event Horizon, I guess it's not a slasher movie because you don't have a single uh, bad guy that's like doing it.
Event Horizon is a
Aliens,
much
you
better movie
have
though.
multiple bad aliens or whatever. Um, Ali, yeah, I'm not.
A- Aliens is a much better movie as well. Um,
Yeah,
gotta check out that Hellraiser in space. I think that's
I haven't seen
Bloodlines.
that one. Yeah,
Yeah, me
I
neither.
gotta see that one.
It's probably pretty bad, but maybe
Yeah,
better. Who knows?
it probably is better than this, to tell you the truth. Just because it's Hellraiser, if they have because Hellraiser's such a the characters are so creative and unique, like
Hmm.
that it doesn't even matter. It's just the characters themselves are better than Jason. So
They should have had Jason be Uber Jason from like the beginning because he got no kills as Uber Jason.
really, so
Yeah, he got sidetracked on the fake video hologram deck, and that's
he
pretty much
didn't
all he
have
did.
any kills. Uber Jason. That's an interesting fact of this movie.
It's stupid because like they built up this whole thing, and they built a whole new like persona for him, and they made it look all cool, and then they just didn't do anything with it.
Ah,
Which
that's a bummer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so thank you, Peter, once again for being on the podcast. We always
Oh yeah,
appreciate it.
it was my
It's always
pleasure.
just nice to hang out and talk, even if it's a bad movie. It's nice to hang out and talk. Um, the next film, which is going to come out on October 30th, the next film review, anyways. so right before Halloween, is The Wicker Man from 1973. So
Wicker Man.
yeah, if you haven't seen that, that's a whole trip and a half. Um,
I don't think I have. Yeah.
yeah, it's a wild movie. That's the best way I could describe it. It's very unique.
So,
I haven't seen it in a while, but from what I remember, is just it is its own thing. There's nothing else that is that movie.
sounds interesting.
Um, this sucks on so many levels.